The story you've probably heard about World War II farming goes something like this. People struggled, food was scarce, and survival meant sacrifice. That's true, but it's only half the story. What often gets left out is that many small farmers and backyard growers actually became more productive during the war, not less. In fact, in places like Britain and parts of the United States, yields per acre skyrocketed despite severe shortages of synthetic fertilizers, fuel and machinery. So, how did they do it? Here's the part that doesn't get talked about much. They relied on systems that modern industrial agriculture largely abandoned. Systems that build soil instead of depleting it. Systems that don't depend on external inputs. Systems that, if applied today, could drastically reduce costs and increase resilience for small growers. And the reason you rarely hear about these methods isn't because they don't work. It's because they don't require buying much. Let's get into what actually made World War II farmers so productive, and how you can apply it today. They built soil fertility instead of buying it. Wartime farmers couldn't rely on synthetic nitrogen fertilizers because factories were diverted to explosives production. So they went back to fundamentals, feeding the soil. Composting wasn't a side activity, it was central. Every scrap of organic waste, from kitchen peelings to crop residues, was turned into humus. Manure from animals was carefully collected, aged and applied strategically. Even urban households contributed through organized compost collection programs. What made this powerful wasn't just the nutrients, it was the biology. Healthy soil teems with microorganisms that unlock nutrients naturally, retain moisture and protect plants from disease. If you want to apply this today, start by treating your soil like a living system. Build a compost pile and layer green materials like vegetable scraps with brown materials like dry leaves. Let it break down fully before applying. Over time, you'll notice improved texture, better water retention and stronger crops without needing synthetic inputs. They planted intensively and eliminated wasted space. Modern farming often leaves gaps, rows spaced for machinery rather than efficiency. World War II growers didn't have that luxury. They used dense planting methods where crops were spaced just enough to grow, but close enough to shade the soil. This reduced weeds, conserved moisture and maximized yield per square meter. In victory gardens, this meant intercropping fast-growing vegetables like radishes between slower ones like cabbage. By the time the cabbage needed more space, the radishes were already harvested. You can replicate this by planning your garden in layers. Pair crops with different growth speeds and root depths. For example, plant lettuce between tomatoes or onions between carrots. The goal is to ensure every inch of soil is producing something at all times. They rotated crops with precision and purpose. Crop rotation wasn't just a recommendation, it was a necessity. Farmers understood that planting the same crop repeatedly drained specific nutrients and encouraged pests. So they rotated crops in cycles. Leafy greens were followed by root crops, then legumes, which naturally fix nitrogen back into the soil. This simple system maintained fertility without chemical fertilizers. To use this today, divide your growing space into sections and rotate crop families each season. After growing heavy feeders like tomatoes, follow with beans or peas. Then move to root crops. Over time, your soil balances itself naturally. They relied heavily on cold frames to extend the growing season. One of the most overlooked secrets of World War II productivity was the widespread use of cold frames. These simple structures, essentially low boxes with transparent covers, allowed farmers to grow food even in the dead of winter. Cold frames trap solar heat during the day and protect crops from frost at night. With proper management, they made it possible to harvest greens in January. Here are 15 forgotten cold frame techniques that were commonly used and still work today. Farmers angled the glass lids toward the winter sun to maximize heat absorption. They insulated the sides with straw, soil, or even old sacks to retain warmth overnight. They placed cold frames against south-facing walls to capture reflected heat. They also used manure beds beneath the soil. As manure decomposes, it generates heat, creating a natural warming system. Ventilation was carefully managed, opening the lid slightly on warmer days to prevent overheating. They planted cold-hardy crops like kale, spinach, and winter lettuce that could survive low temperatures. Succession planting ensured that as one crop was harvested, another was ready to take its place. They watered sparingly in winter to avoid freezing roots. They added thermal mass like stones or water containers inside the frame to store heat during the day and release it at night. They used double-layer covers, glass plus cloth, for extra insulation during extreme cold. They also buried the frame slightly into the ground to take advantage of the Earth's stable temperature. To apply this yourself, you can build a simple cold frame using wood and a transparent cover, even repurpose materials like old windows. Place it in a sunny spot, plant hardy greens, and manage ventilation carefully. You'll be surprised how much you can grow off-season. They worked with nature instead of fighting it. Perhaps the biggest lesson from World War II farming is this: productivity didn't come from forcing the land. It came from understanding it. Farmers paid attention to weather patterns, soil conditions, and plant behavior. They adapted constantly. They saved seeds from the strongest plants, gradually improving resilience over time. This approach created systems that were not only productive, but sustainable. Today, that mindset is more valuable than ever. Instead of relying on inputs, focus on observation. Notice which plants thrive in your conditions. Save seeds. Adjust planting times. Work with your environment, not against it. The truth is, World War II farmers didn't have better tools than we do today. In many ways, they had far less, but they had knowledge, discipline, and a deep respect for the land. And those are tools that still work. If you found this useful and want more deep dives into forgotten techniques that actually produce results, subscribe to the channel and share this with someone who's serious about growing real food.